Do you know what secret Anubis guarded in Tutankhamun's tomb for 3,000 years? When archaeologists open the tomb, they open their mouths in amazement. We think you will be greatly surprised when you find out what was inside the tomb, which could not be emptied by plunderers. And it wasn't just the mummy, there was something else that amazed the scientists. We bet you will never guess what was hiding the ancient tomb of a 19-year-old boy who ruled in ancient Egypt. Want to know the details? Then watch this video to the end. For more than 3 millennia, Tutankhamun's mummified body rested in a tomb hidden from human eyes until it was discovered by a researcher named Howard Carter. This momentous event stirred public interest in the ancient Egyptian civilization, awakening a burning desire to learn more about its history and culture. It is noteworthy that this tomb, unlike many other tombs of the period, remained virtually untouched by black diggers and treasure hunters. Moreover, originally it was not even intended for the burial of royalty. According to ancient Egyptian traditions, it was customary to bury the pharaohs in majestic pyramids, erected specifically for this purpose. However, fate ordered otherwise. Tutankhamun died at a rather young age, and the construction of his necropolis was not completed by the time of the ruler's death. Therefore, the burial had to be organized at an accelerated pace, using an existing tomb. Despite the relative modesty of the tomb by the standards of the Egyptian kings, its interior decoration struck the imagination with its richness. An amazing picture appeared before the eyes of archaeologists. Huge gold reserves and a luxurious sarcophagus worthy of the greatness of the pharaoh. The burial complex of Tutankhamun consisted of 3 coffins, nested one in another, like Matryoshka dolls. The innermost sarcophagus, in which rested the mummy of the king, was made of pure gold. It weighed a great deal. To move the lid of this massive coffin required the efforts of several strong men, using a special winch attached to the silver handles of the sarcophagus. A statue of Anubis, an ancient Egyptian deity with the head of a jackal and the body of a man, stood guard at the entrance to the tomb. The sculpture was carefully covered with a linen cloth and placed on a portable altar, symbolizing the sacred protection of the rest of the deceased. The presence of Anubis in the tomb was no accident. This god was revered by the ancient Egyptians as the patron of funeral rituals and the art of mummification. It was believed that it was he who accompanied the souls of the dead to the afterlife and ensured their protection on this difficult path. Initially, neither Howard Carter nor his patron Lord Carnarvon had high hopes for the success of their venture. The site in the Valley of the Kings assigned to them for research was considered unpromising from the point of view of archaeological discoveries. Most of the tombs of nobles had already been discovered and looted, and those that were yet to be found were believed to be located elsewhere. No one could have guessed that this was the resting place of the pharaoh, whose very existence was questioned by many Egyptologists. Howard Carter and Lord Carnarvon froze in mute amazement in front of the bricked-up entrance, hidden under the thickness of the earth, realizing that they were on the threshold of a grand discovery. It took them 8 years of hard work to uncover the fate of the young ruler who sat on the throne of Egypt in the middle of the 14th century. BC, the search for the lost tomb was conducted on the west coast of the Nile, near Luxor, in the valley anciently considered the final resting place of royalty. By the summer of 1922, the researchers dug up almost the entire territory, except for a small piece of land located in close proximity to the tomb of Ramses VI. It was here that fortune finally smiled on the tireless archaeologists. The first hint of the coming discovery revealed itself to the world on November 4th, 1922. It turned out to be a stone step of a staircase leading to unknown depths. As the researchers excavated, they found the upper part of the door to which this mysterious staircase led. The surface of the door bore the protective seal of the necropolis, an indisputable indication that it hid the burial place of a high-ranking person. There were 16 steps in all. When the archaeologist completely cleared the passage, Carter was able to see on the door seal engraved with the name of Nebapur, which belonged to none other than Tutankhamun himself. The bottom of the door showed signs of forced entry, hinting that the tomb may have been looted in the distant past. However, when the doorway was completely cleared of debris, the researchers saw a corridor leading downward, at the end of which was another sealed entrance promising new discoveries. On November 26th, Carter began to open the necropolis. Acting with the utmost care, he carefully chiseled a hole in the top of the door and slipped an iron bar inside to check for further obstructions. The archaeologist then widened the hole to a size that would allow him to look inside the tomb. And at this fateful moment, he saw a picture that surpassed the most daring expectations. The tomb was not looted, and the gold articles that served as attributes of the burial of the pharaoh were everywhere. There was no longer the slightest doubt that the tomb of one of the greatest Egyptian kings, hidden from human eyes for thousands of years, was before them. Howard Carter, as he continued to investigate the tomb, found signs of the ancient plunderers, but it appeared that their intrusion had been thwarted by the vigilant guards. Footprints were visible on the dusty floor, indicating a hasty retreat. The disorderly arrangement of the objects led the archaeologists to believe that the guards had succeeded in returning the stolen treasures to their rightful places. In one pile, as if in a bizarre kaleidoscope, mixed gilded furniture and royal throne, statues and beds, chariots, vases, and other utensils. However, the main find, the mummy of the pharaoh himself, was not among this splendor. Each discovered object was carefully photographed and recorded in a detailed inventory. Subsequently, all of these priceless artifacts were carefully transferred to the Museum of Cairo, where they were to become objects of universal admiration and scientific study. Carter's work in the tomb took place in extremely difficult conditions. The confined space, stifling dust, stifling heat, and dim lighting created considerable difficulties for the researcher. In addition, the constant interference was caused by curious tourists who flocked from all over the world to see the legendary necropolis, as well as annoying representatives of the press, eager for sensational details. By February 1923, the painstaking work of dismantling and describing the two great halls was finally completed. Carter then turned his attention to the northern part of the tomb, where another sealed entrance was discovered. After making a small opening, the archaeologist looked inside and, about 1 meter from the door, saw a monolithic structure apparently made of pure gold. Further investigation revealed that it was a giant sarcophagus, occupying almost the entire space of the burial chamber. Shortly after the discovery, Lord Carnarvon died, having barely had time to see the magnificent find with his own eyes. Behind the burial chamber was another room, which served as a repository for the most valuable objects. Here the researchers saw skillfully made jewelry boxes, various statuettes of people and animals, miniature rooks, as well as a gilded cow's head, a symbol of the goddess Hathor, representing love and cheerfulness. As mentioned earlier, the funerary complex consisted of 3 sarcophagi, nested one inside the other like nesting dolls. The outer case for this construction was a massive frame, skillfully made of durable wood and covered with shining gilding. Additional protection was provided by a linen cloth, which was wrapped around the frame. Its surface bore numerous inscriptions that held the secrets of antiquity. The innermost coffin was painted in sunny yellow color, and its lid was made of noble pink granite. The people who were present when the sarcophagus was opened watched the process of extracting its contents with awe and bated breath. Inside the coffin was something carefully wrapped in a shroud of fine linen. When the cloth was carefully unwrapped, the mummy of the pharaoh finally appeared to the eyes of the audience. To be more exact, it was his golden statue, created by the hands of skillful craftsmen. The spectators, not hiding admiration, admired the picture opened before them. Many could not restrain cries of surprise and delight, and indeed the spectacle was truly impressive. There was no doubt that before the eyes of the researchers lay a work of art designed to personify the greatness of the deceased king, the result of painstaking labor of true virtuosos of their craft. However, in spite of his admiration, Howard Carter at that moment was not yet aware of the most important discovery, which he was to make in just a moment. The three coffins were fitted together with such incredible precision and skill that it took the scientists considerable effort to separate them. Removing one lid after another, the researchers finally reached the last sarcophagus, shining pure gold. Inside it rested the mummy of the young ruler, Tutankhamun himself. The pharaoh's body was carefully wrapped in a dense cloth and literally strewn with amulets and protective amulets. Jewels glittered in the dim light of the tomb, and the face of the king hid a magnificent golden post-mortem mask, which later became one of the most recognizable symbols of ancient Egyptian culture. Today, most of the artifacts found in the tomb of Tutankhamun, carefully stored in the walls of the Cairo Museum, attracting the attention of visitors from around the world. However, the sarcophagus with the mummy of the young pharaoh still rests in his tomb, where it should be according to ancient traditions. Now, after thousands of years, to prove conclusively that the mummified body really belongs to the legendary boy king, it seems almost impossible. Yes, on the door of the tomb, there is an engraving with the name of Tutankhamun, but this is not enough for 100% certainty in the identification of the deceased. To the great regret of Howard Carter himself and the entire scientific community, the researcher has not been able to find any written evidence, be it a scroll or a papyrus, which would indicate in black and white who exactly rests in the golden coffin. Nor have carved images been found that could shed light on the identity of the mysterious pharaoh. The only thing that scientists know for sure is the age of the deceased at the time of death, which is estimated to be between 17 and 19 years old, which is quite consistent with the estimated age of Tutankhamun. In addition, the luxurious decoration of the tomb and numerous treasures accompanying the deceased to the afterlife eloquently testify to his exceptionally high status. Howard Carter did a truly Herculean job, devoting a decade of his life to excavating the tomb. He overcame all the difficulties and hardships, regularly encountering such phenomenon as professional incompatibility. After all, people working side by side in such harsh conditions often have difficulty in communicating with each other. However, the stalwart archaeologist managed to overcome all obstacles, for which we are very grateful. The discovery made by Carter not only enriched the science of Egyptology, but also provided researchers with a lot of invaluable information about the life and culture of ancient Egypt. Thanks to this discovery, the name of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun, whose life was cut short too soon before the glory of great achievements, became the most famous and discussed among contemporaries. Now, this mysterious ruler, whose fate is shrouded in the secrets of millennia, rightfully occupies a special place in the hearts of people interested in the history of ancient civilizations. If this article seemed to you fascinating and informative, do not forget to put a like and subscribe to our channel so as not to miss new exciting materials about the treasures of antiquity and mysteries of the past.